Good morning, my friends. It is Hammer with Originator Success here with your daily rate update, the only place on the web where you guys get to join me live. We talk about what's going on in the markets with rates and pricing. Today, big day, of course. It is the Fed day. The Fed will be speaking. They will come out with their policy statement at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We will get the Fed's press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time with Jay Powell, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. So today, a big day. Remember, you can join me live each and every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, as I have this show for you. If you are watching on the replay, do me a favor. Just put hashtag replay in the comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube. Always appreciate you doing that. Lets me know that you actually care, and I know the analytics actually match up a little bit. So don't forget to smash that like button. If you are on Facebook, share this thing in a group. Go ahead, hit that little share button, put it in a group. I appreciate you doing that. Now, you think somebody else is going to do it, so you don't do it, but you know what? Nobody does it. So I need you to do it. Also, don't forget to tag an LO friend. If you're on YouTube, give us that thumbs up, hit subscribe, that kind of stuff. Remember, you can sign up for our written lock advice, www.ratelockadvice.com. It's an email to your inbox each and every weekday morning where I tell you what's going on with the market. You can also sign up for our text alerts. Today is a good day to do that. We send out a text alert every morning, one every afternoon, and then when reprice risk is high, we send you one out and warn you of that. And also a day like today with the Fed, we're going to be sending out some afternoon alerts, letting you know what's going on with that Fed. So be sure to check those out. Last but not least, check us out at originatorssuccess.com. Although I love talking about rates and pricing each and every day, we help you get loans from Google and social media. Go find out how. So let's say hi to our live folks here. We got Nicole Semrad. Good morning. Mike Thibault. Good morning. Mallory Fodiatis. How are you? Chris Montgomery, sir. Kenny Rivard. Hello, Rob Stewart. Rob Stewart, 3 pairs of boots is good for the average man. I'm with you. And don't worry, you don't have to worry about scuffing them. One thing I will say, when I started buying fancy-ass boots, I made myself a promise that I was only going to buy them if I would wear them. And I'm okay wearing them. So I wear the shit out of them. I rotate them. Of course, I wear different pairs all the time. But I do wear them. I wear all of my boots. So that's pretty cool. Robert Reynolds, good morning. Bill Stevens, how are you, sir? Always appreciate all of you and having you here. So let's dive in and talk about what we got to talk about today. Today is the Fed day. Hello, Ben King. Today is the Fed day. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will be out there. Let's pop this on here. So basically, what we are expecting to see today is the Fed meets at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Let me close this out. Fed meets at 2 p.m. Eastern time. They will release their policy statement and they will say, hey, this is what we are doing. So the Fed is expected to go ahead and keep the Fed funds rate the same, 97.9%. I don't think that's changed. This has been old faithful. Markets just don't think that the Fed will do anything today. They're certainly not in a position to hike, not looking to cut either, though. However, markets were looking for a cut in March. What are the current expectations on that? Well, they're starting to get a little bit of hope that maybe we'll get some positive dovish comments today. This is higher than yesterday. Yesterday, it was over 50% expectation that the Fed would leave rates unchecked at the next meeting. So we're going to get today's meeting out of the way. The next meeting about 5.5 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now in March. In fact, let's see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, it is on the 7th week. So we have a lot of data that's going to come in. We've got Friday's non-farm payroll and then March's non-farm payroll jobs data coming in. We're going to have 2 more CPI inflation reports between this meeting and that next meeting. There is a lot of economic data that's going to come in, and there'll be a lot of Fed speak. So we could see markets start to believe and pick up momentum again that the Fed is going to cut in March. Right now, expectations are definitely clear. Less than 10% expectation that the Fed will keep rates unchanged heading into May. This is for May, all right? Remember, that's actually at the end of April because it's May 1st. So we're calling it the May meeting, but it's really the end of April, right? So May 1st, markets believe 90% that the Fed will have to start cutting by then. However, we're in a position to see mortgage rates improve, maybe 1/8, maybe 1/4, maybe 3/8 of a point over the next few days if markets start to believe that the Fed is going to cut in March. Now, that's what they believed in December. That's why we saw some of our best mortgage rates in December. That's not a coincidence. It's a cause and effect. And that's what we're looking to see happen today. Now, there is talk that Fed Chair Jerome Powell actually gets access and can get access to the BLS data, the non-farm payroll data, unemployment, all that data that comes out on Friday. So normally, I mean, it's not that big of a deal for him to have a little bit of a preview, right? But when you're talking about a Fed meeting today and his press conference at 2:30, markets are going to be looking for that. So hear me out. Markets are looking for signs that Powell may know what's going on with those jobs reports on Friday, and if there's any kind of softening in that jobs report, which would put the Fed in a position to start cutting rates. Because basically, that's what we're waiting for now. The Fed has hiked rates for the last 2 years since March of 22. And at this point, we're done hiking rates. The PCE inflation, which is the Fed's favorite gauge of inflation, it's their favored gauge, came in last week. And if you take the 6-month average, not the year over year, which still puts us well above 2%, but that 6-month average, I think it was 1.6% inflation, which the Fed wants to be at 2%, which means when you look at the trend, it puts us there. The Fed is where they want to be as far as inflation. They've won. Now it's a matter of not letting it get, reignited. That's a big concern. And that's why you'll see Jerome Powell trying to temper expectations right now. The Fed wants to start cutting rates before the economy gets in trouble, because the Fed has pulled off the impossible so far. And they've gotten us to what we call a soft landing. Normally, what would happen, the Fed raises that Fed funds rate. The Fed is letting their balance sheet run off, what we call quantitative tightening. All of these things are done to slow the economy down, have less spending. Jobs tend to then suffer. Unemployment increases. If companies aren't making money, what do? They cut, they lay off. So that's why everything trickles. But what's happening right now is the Fed's in that sweet spot. The economy's still doing well. So the Fed doesn't want to wait until it's choked out the economy. It wants to say, okay, we know we've raised all this much. Now, the Fed knows that 5.25% as a Fed funds rate is not a neutral Fed funds rate. In other words, if it holds its rate that high, it is going to throttle the economy because it has slowed the economy down. But they want to start to cut and get that down a little bit so they have room to hike again if needed. They have room to cut some more if needed. They want to bring it down. The Fed forecasts at the beginning of the year with the dot plot were, if you remember, 3 Fed rate cuts, a total of 75 basis points. Right now, the Fed funds rate 5.25. They want to bring that down to about 4.5. Markets, however, if you take a look here, markets believe that it's going to be lower than 4.5. 4.5, not even on the radar, 1.2%. They believe 4.25, even more believe 4, 3.75, 3.5, right? Markets believe the Fed is going to have to cut rates. Now, the Fed is likely to cut rates by 0.25%, but they don't have to cut by 0.25. They could cut by 0.5. They could wait until May and cut by 0.5. They don't have to cut 0.25 in March, but markets are going to form their own opinion. And I said this in my written lock advice today. I look at this like a parent-teenager conversation. Fed Chair Jerome Powell is going to be out there and he's going to try to set the tone. He's going to tell everybody this is the way that it is. We're, dependent on data. We're looking for this. We're not going to act too quick. He's going to try to slow things down. And yet markets, they're going to be like, la, 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 la. They're going to hear what they want to hear. And if markets like what they hear or what they think they hear, if it's dovish, if it's peace and love, if it's something that's good for rates, then that's going to see this improve. We're going to see this March expectation of a cut go up. When that does, we could see mortgage rates improve. Where does it bring us? Again, we're in these kind of high sixes here, 6.875, 6 7/8, if you will, right? We're at like 6 7/8 here. We were at 6 7/8, 6.9, 6.9, 6.95, 92, 6.87, 6.92, 6.89. But look where we were before that. We were at 6 3/4, 6 5/8. That's what will bring us back there if markets get a little dovish. So today, of course, we want to be floating. You want to make sure you got your finger on the trigger, though. 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to get that policy statement. Very unlikely that we see anything in the actual statement itself that will shake things up. Most of the action is going to happen around 2:45 to 3 p.m. Eastern today in Powell's press conference. When Powell gets ramped up and gets going, generally 15 to 20 minutes into his press conference is when we start to see bonds really react. Ron said UPS laid off 12,000 people, very telling of the future. Yes and no, Ron. UPS, you got to remember something. UPS was the number one package carrier, right? Well, Amazon went out on their own. Amazon is now the number one, just by taking their own business. They are now the number one package carrier. UPS lost a tremendous amount of business when they lost the Amazon packages. They do not deliver most Amazon packages in most markets anymore. That is a reason why UPS laying off 12,000 people. Plus, we're post-holiday, right? So they're looking to cut, especially after the last labor deal. So that's kind of not as telling necessarily as you would think it would. Ron said 2 months in a row, the PCE 6-month run rate has been below 2%. Yes, I did mention that it was around 1.6, and that is for the second month in a row that it's been below 2, which is good. So anyway, my friends, that's where we're at today. Make sure that you do sign up for the text alerts. If you're not, they're $7. Definitely check them out. Scott said Warren told the Fed that they need to start lowering the rate because it's killing the housing market. When you say Warren, you talk about Elizabeth Warren. I despise that woman's views and the way she does business. I don't know her personally, and I'm not going to attack her personally. I just don't like her politics. I don't like anything she does politically. I think I don't have nice things to say, so I'm not going to say anything. Mike said CNBC does a great job discussing rates today when Powell speaks. Okay, good to know. I am not on there. So, anything that Warren has touched in the housing market has turned to shit. Remember, too, that she was one of the ones that helped set up the CFPB. She was a big part of that. I don't like the woman. I don't like what she stands for, her political stuff, anything like that. So it's not personal. I mean, again, I could sit and have dinner with her and talk to her because I just wouldn't agree with anything she said. We would argue. So, all right, my friends, I'm going to wrap it up. You guys, we will see what today brings, and we'll talk about it some more tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you can join me live each and every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Always appreciate all of you that join me every day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.